Oh, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Hello, it is I, Mr. Warren Hayes, and giving you such gracious and warm, fuzzy welcomes tonight here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes on October 28th of the year 2021, where we are going to be talking about professional wrestling. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. Professional wrestling. Can you believe it? That's usually what we do here, right? On Thursday nights, we sit around, we chat, we have ourselves a nice, sweet little time as we chat about the wacky, wild things happening in the world of pro wrestling. And you know what? This week is just one of those weeks where, you know, the podcast just comes together naturally. It's effortless. No, I'm not gonna lie. It's just one of those where you're like, there's so much stuff going on, so many things coming together that it makes your job of putting a run sheet together for a podcast so much more simple. So much more simple. And that's what we're going to be. We're going to be going through all of that tonight. There's some very interesting things, some funny things, some things that aren't so funny. We're going to get into that in a few minutes, just after I take the time to welcome everyone joining us live here tonight on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. Because yes, I record this podcast every Thursday night live, 6 p.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific. And if you jump in here, you get to hang out with the likes of Robert Larry. Hi, Robert. How are you? Tim Traver, good friend of the show. Hi, Tim. Hope you're doing well. Also got, we've also got, let's see who else we got. We got AK Germany 96. We got Kelly Tonjes, who's with us. Huh? Hello to both of you. Mark Forbes. Mark Forbes is here as well. Anakin JMT here as well. See, I don't know, just great people hanging out. Hello to you all, and thank you for taking time out of your wonderful Thursday night to come in and jump in here so we can talk. We can talk the graps. DGMC's here too. Look at this. We just sit around here and we have a good time chatting it up. youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you're here right now, why don't you give the video a like, thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you're watching this on demand later on, that's also really cool if you can do that too. And oh, hi Heather, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, because, you know, have you heard by now that the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is also available on your favorite podcast applications, like, you know, Apple Podcast, like Stitcher, like Spotify, you know, drop a review, a 5-star review. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still waiting for someone to do it because I think it'd be really funny. Someone leaves a 5-star review, but says something like, you know, 5-star review, Mr. Warren Hayes looks like, you know, his breath smells, or, you know, like, but a 5-star review, but with a weird disparaging comment. I'm still waiting for one of those. Anyway, if you can show some love there, that'd be fantastic. No, I am not available on Napster. For those of you asking, when I say those, I mean one person. But if you want to share it around, go right ahead, right? What else? Oh, and yeah, so that's the ticket. Show some love, show some support. That's always appreciated. You can also show some love and support to belltobells.com. That's BELLTOBELLEES.com. That is your women's wrestling wire. You like women's wrestling? I know I do. Well, there's a website out there that can give you, you know, the stuff that you crave, you know, some wrestling, some sources of wrestling news and happenings and discussions. Look, this past weekend, we did a full weekend of celebrating women's wrestling, right? With from Saturday to Sunday. We even had a live stream on Sunday. Listen, we've got all sorts of stuff over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/bell2bells. I've got interviews with tons of people. Mercedes Martinez, which, by the way, my interview with Mercedes Martinez, over 50 minutes of wonderful talks with Mercedes Martinez, who doesn't give interviews very often. I felt very privileged that she accepted to chat with me and chat a long time. But listen to the interviews that we got here. We got Mercedes Martinez, and she talks about retribution. She tells why she left the group. She talks about, the question that everyone asks, right? The thing that's on everyone's mind when they think about Mercedes' career is like, why didn't AEW sign you? Right? After All Out. Well, we talk about that. She gives us the answer. There's all sorts of great stuff there. I talked to Deonna Purrazzo. This was before she unfortunately lost the title to Mickie James. But then again, we also spoke with Mickie James. And when I say I mean Ella J, our contributor, good friend of the show as well. We love ourselves some Ella. She talked to Mickie James as well. We talked to Trisha Dora. We talked to Ty Conti. Fantastic stuff. So privileged to be able to have a chance to chat with her. Privileged to talk to the NWA World Women's Champion, Camille. And the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champions, Allison Kay, Marty Bell, the Hex. Even talked to Yuka Sakazaki in a English-Japanese interview, which was amazing. Also talked to Amy Rose. Talked to Angelina Love as well. Talked to Riley Shepard, where we geeked out about LARPing. Barely talked about wrestling. That was a lot of fun. Look, we had a huge week. And then on top of that, we had our live stream where we had the Church of Joshi pop in a roundtable discussion with Aki and Mei Saruga from Chocopro, not Choco, Chocopro. That was a wonderful, wonderful moment. Just a beautiful conversation. And Kayla and Alex, why did I call her Kyla? I call her Kyla, but it's Kayla. Kayla and Alex of Church of Joshi were just so thrilled to be there. So were Aki and May, and it was just a magical conversation. I was just like sitting back and letting, all right, this is great. It was the easiest gig I've ever done. Come, go check it out. Bell2bells.com did a lot of great stuff there this weekend. So there's a lot, and there's still a lot. Oh, and Rosemary, right, from Impact Wrestling, reads us a bedtime story. It's great. No, I mean, I'm very proud of the weekend that we did. I'm very proud of the work that was put in. Very proud of the work our editor-in-chief, co-founder of Bell2Bells, and editor-in-chief of my heart, Kristen Ashley, all the work that she put in to put everything together, just absolutely fantastic. Just some great stuff, and I'm over the moon happy. So Bell2Bells YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bell2Bells, you'll find everything there. And you can also follow us on Twitter. And then join the Discord. The link is in the description. You know by now. I want all of you to come join the Discord. Come chat wrestling with us. Please. God damn it. We have a nice community. I don't know why I'm getting mad. But there's a nice community there. We've got some good folks. A lot of people who I hang out in the live chat here also hang out there. So if you hang out in the live chat, you already know most of the people there. You can show some support by for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show YouTube channel as well by becoming a member. And if you become a member of the channel, then you can join us after we're done on the main stream for the post stream, which I do for members only. And we sit around and we talk some more wrestling on a topic, and this week's topic is going to be on Ring of Honor. I'm going to chat about Ring of Honor in a few minutes. But a lot of unfortunate news coming out of Ring of Honor. And I think, we should sit around and just talk about what we'd like, our preferred talent, the talent that we like in Ring of Honor or whatever talent, where we'd like them to end up. What kind of future we'd have in store for them. So that's really cool. We should come sit around and chit chat. And that's amazing. That's really cool. And you can also leave us a super chat where I will read your question or comment on the air. And here, Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin, which also ties into membership here as well. And he says, if you need another reason to become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, he will show off his costume, his Halloween costume, in the YouTube members Discord channel tonight. So if you want to see Anakin's costume, and I'm crossing my fingers that there's no nudity involved, because otherwise I'll get kicked off of the internet. It says, look, members only, but not like that, right, Anakin? It's not that kind of members only content that we're promoting on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show membership stuff. Come and join us. It'll be thank you, Anakin, very much for the super chat, and do become a member. It's a lot of fun. We all chat in the Discord. We take live calls. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. I love how he's like, I have no nudity, I promise. Oh, Anakin, you're such a cool guy. I love you so much. What are we doing? Oh, before we get on to the weekly wrestling inspection, just a quick thing. Because I do want to take a minute here to wish nothing but the best and nothing but the best to Kylie Ray, who's stepping away from wrestling to focus on her mental health. This is the second time that Kylie steps away from wrestling, and she had left the first time in, very unusual circumstances. And you all remember this bullshit, right? You remember the conspiracy bullshit that was going around when Kylie left. It was all very secretive. This time, she put out a full statement saying that due to unforeseen circumstances, she won't be able to honor her engagements that she had, Freelance Underground, NWA, AEW, and she was very candid about the reasons why. She said, I tried holding this in, and working through the pain, doing my best to fulfill commitments, but it's become too much, and I needed help. I have been having a difficult time, a different time differentiating what's real and what's fake, especially in these types of environments. Regretfully, I tried masking the pain through marijuana and alcohol. I've tried to be as open as I can with you all about my mental health struggles, but I was not being honest with the unhealthy coping mechanisms I adopted. For that, I am deeply sorry. Graciously, with the help of loved ones, I have been working towards my sobriety again. And we can only wish for the best for Kylie Ray. I think wrestling is a better place with her. But I also deeply understand why she may need some time to step away and work on herself. Not an easy path she's on. So if you are the type of person who carries any type of faith, send her out a prayer. For the rest of us, let's just send her some good vibes. And we hope that you come back to us at some point, Kylie, in peak form, in the manner that you deserve to be happy, content, and continuing to entertain us all. So, best of all the best to Kylie Ray. Now, let's move into the weekly wrestling inspection. I want to say hello to a couple of people who have popped in the chat here as I was chit-chatting here. We've got ourselves Ray, who's here. Ray, as in Ray of Sunshine, maybe. Nice to see you. Supersonic X, nice to see you too. Jason PS3, nice to see everyone here. And William Davis is here as well. Good to see everyone. Apologize for that little frog in my throat. So, as I sometimes do, oftentimes do, at least it's a semi-regular thing, I poll the live audience here to see what topic I should start the show off with. And tonight, the audience has picked for me to start speaking on Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor, a lot, hugely out of nowhere. Yesterday, Batmobile, you're here. Nice to see you. It's been a while. Welcome back to the chat. Okay. A little out of nowhere, Ring of Honor posts a statement on their Twitter feed. And I will read this statement verbatim. Throughout the pandemic, our top priority was to keep everyone healthy and safe. And despite not producing any live events over 18 months, we were able to keep everyone fully contracted. We now find ourselves at a time where we need to make changes to our business operations and are planning a pivot for Ring of Honor with a new mission and strategy. The year will culminate with a final battle in December, and we will be taking the first quarter of 2022 to work internally to reimagine Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has the most dedicated fans in the industry, and we appreciate their loyalty and patience as we reconceptualize Ring of Honor. We anticipate returning to live events in April for the Supercard of Honor with a new fan-focused product and provide a unique experience for wrestling fans. This came, I would say, completely out of left field for tons of people. Not a lot of people saw this one coming. I don't think anyone really saw this coming. I never heard any instance of Ring of Honor even potentially shutting down, and things were looking up, right? Because as they said in the statement, over the past year, they kept everyone under contract while, and were being praised for it because you had another billion-dollar company who was releasing people and sending them off into the pandemic in an environment like with a skill set that could not be applied in the pandemic, as everyone was shutting down shows, started putting wrestlers out there. What are they going to do? Ring of Honor held on to everyone, and things were on the up and up. I was particularly excited in regards to the revitalization of their women's division. Wasn't the first time that they were trying to reinvigorate it, but it kind of felt like this time it was the real deal, that it was about to happen. We had the tournament for the Ring of Honor women's championship. We had they had their own YouTube show, the Women's Wrestling Wednesdays, which was fantastic, and they had signed of course Roxy was signed and became Ring of Honor Women's Champion. Then they signed Trish Adora, and they had access to talent like Holiday and Trish Adora. So it was an extremely exciting moment. This sort of just cut the grass under everyone. So after that, of course, everyone gets to work. Hey, by the way, Sean Taggart, nice to see you. I forgot to say hello to you, Sean. Welcome to the chat. So everyone gets to work. All our reporter people start reaching out to people in Ring of Honor to try and see, what are we doing? What's the thing? What are we talking about here? So it turns out these are the details we know. Ring of Honor is on a live event hiatus right now. And the contract and the talent will not, the contracts for talent will not be renewed at the end of the year, except for the talent who were still under contract into 2022. They will continue to be paid until March 31st. Joe Koff, Ring of Honor CEO, I think is his title, if I remember correctly, still told the talent that he had multiple meetings to fight for Ring of Honor But ultimately, this was a decision by Sinclair. They made the call. Talent were told that there would be some type of TV show that would be in place after Final Battle, but not told what it is. This is what we're expecting, what we're anticipating to be this April Supercard, right? They still have tapings in Baltimore happening this weekend. They have a Supercard of Honor, right? Of course. A Final Battle, I mean. And then they have the venue for WrestleMania weekend in Dallas that's already booked. And in the meantime, the company is reportedly open to work with talent who are currently under contract to help them find new bookings. And, you know, and then like a little bit from out of nowhere, you know, then you like immediately you see like Bandito, who is the current Ring of Honor world champion. He got booked for like 2 or 3 Game Changer dates, right? So it's like straight out the gate. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that happening over the next few days. And now, today, as I'm sort of chatting with about this with Kristen, as we're talking about how heartbreaking Maria Kanellis's Twitter post was in regards to all the, you know, everything that she had worked on for the women's division, and now sort of like just fallen to pieces. As Kristen and I were talking about that, and pops up, it was like, the tape library is for sale, and apparently they're looking aggressively for a buyer. Whoever, you know, they'll sell to the highest bidder, basically. And to be clear, this is the tape library owned by Sinclair, which is 2012, I guess, moving on. Feel free to correct me, any Ring of Honor mega fans in the chat right now, but I'm pretty sure it's like from 2012 moving on. So it's not like, you know, the 2004 stuff, you know, the original, you know, the Daniel Bryan and low key stuff, and the, you know, the bubbling beginnings of CM Punk, and that's not the tape library that we're talking about here. So this is the situation we're in right now. And look, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Because there's, it's everything? Sinclair owns everything. I thought it was only the 2000, I thought it was, Sean in the chat is correcting me here. I thought that it was only, that Sinclair only owned 2012 moving forward. Or is it 2012, or is it the Sinclair era that's for sale, and that the, you know, the rest? Because let's be honest with each other. Hey, Pluggo, welcome to the chat, man. If we're being honest with each other right now, and I hope you guys are honest with me. I like to think I'm honest with you guys. If we're being honest with each other here, I'm not sure, like digging up old 2004, 2005 Ring of Honor, putting that out there, you know, accessible for everyone to see, even though it's already out there and you can find it. But, you know, there's a difference between going out and looking for stuff on YouTube and Daily Motion and running after DVDs than having like an actual streaming service that you can watch stuff all the time. Like, I'm not sure. There's definitely some stuff from the early 2000s in Ring of Honor that a lot of wrestlers today wouldn't exactly want to be circulating around all that much, because there was a lot of homophobic stuff being shared amongst wrestlers in promos back then, you know, and, you know, there's probably some stuff that a lot of talent would be like, you know what, it's best that my 2005 to 2006 shit stays away from, you know, the general public, you know, because everything it's always a question of content, right? Yeah, you know, so I'm just throwing that out there. But Sean says no, when they made the purchase, Kerry gave them everything. See, I thought Kerry had hung on to the early stuff because he understood the value of it. All right. That's what. Okay. Well, I stand corrected. So it's the entire library. It's not just from 2012 moving on. Okay. Sean is a big Ring of Honor guy, and I appreciate him being here. He's also a member of the MrWarrenHayes Discord, which you should join. Link is in the description. But look, coming back to the subject matter, it sucks. It sucks because we have wrestlers who had contracts, who were making money doing something that they loved, that will all be out of work by the time, by the end of the year, and some of them a little later on, but most of them will be out of work at the new year, and that stinks, man. Now, thankfully, there's a lot of people who will be able to find work, and that's already exciting. And you know, we've already seen like Bandito, right? But Bandito, I think that was easily a given. But there's going to be more and more people who are going to find work before the end of the year. Like, thankfully, you know, they're not being like released, you know, on December 1st, and that they have 1 month left on their contract. They're still going to be taken care of. They're still going to be paid till the end of the year, bare minimum. I heard, because I had put out a tweet, and a lot of people reached out to me, people, you know, colleagues and a couple of wrestlers, and who, because I had tweeted out, seeing the reaction from a lot of the Ring of Honor talent, I was wondering, I was like, what, did the talent find out about it, like, at the same time as we all did on Twitter? Because I kind of thought that'd be pretty sucky, but it turns out that there were meetings, that a lot of talent were contacted. Apparently, there's a few wrestlers who were not aware, but we're talking the exceptions to the rule here. Most of the Ring of Honor talent knew about it, and that's comforting, and you know, it's a pro move, of course. But look, here's the thing. Now, here's what happens, right? Is that now the market is even more saturated with talent than it was previously. There's already, like, this is a discussion that we had not that long ago in regards to NXT, WWE releasing tons and just cutting people week after week, and a lot of indie talent that they had just picked up, and all these people going back onto the circuit. And then you end up with a certain level of saturation. You end up with even on the indies, despite that the indies are in North America are running wild, strong shows. There's shows all over the weekend, every weekend, all the time, even starting on Thursdays, you know, because, you know, my main competition on Thursday nights is Beyond Wrestling, who have their Unchained series. You know, I'll remember this, Beyond. You know, don't worry. I know you guys want to counter program the juggernaut, the media juggernaut that is the MrWarrenHayes show. I know that, but I'm still glad that you guys are operating at full capacity, and now we're getting a whole influx of people again. Now there already were a lot of Ring of Honor talent that were working independent dates, but this was before the talent that was working independent dates sort of lost their consistent paycheck. You know, sort of like, oh, well, now I'm losing my paychecks, and a lot of them will probably want to make up for it back on the indies, working more dates. There's talent that we know are going to be okay. Like, I would be shocked, I tells you, absolutely shocked to the gills if there isn't any kind of bidding war for Jonathan Gresham right now. Like, that's how shocked I would be. Shocked to my gills Whereas I am not, whereas I'm not even not an amphibian. Well, amphibians have gills. No, they don't really have gills. A fish, a sea living creature. This kind of stuff just boggles my mind. It's like, it would boggle my mind if Jonathan Gresham wasn't picked up, right? So, of course you sort of look at that and it's like, look, there's so much talent that's going to get back out there. And you're not going to be able, when I say you, I mean, AEW is not going to be able to hire everyone. Not going to be able to buy everyone out, bringing everyone into the company. That doesn't make sense. AEW is at a saturation point itself, if in your boy's honest opinion. The thing here is that, what are we looking at right now? Because we're talking about hiatuses. We're not talking about Ring of Honor, like shutting everything down and then tossing, canceling everything and throwing it into the trash. Right up until I started hearing about the tape sale, I was like, look, Ring of Honor is gonna come back in some shape or form, and I felt pretty confident about that. My first thought was, the Ring of Honor is clearing house. This is again, it's a Sinclair mandate, right? So they're just not renewing all the contracts. They're just going to let them expire, and then they're going to start fresh. And my thought was, they come back, new formula, maybe, I don't know, but they rehire some people. Maybe, smaller contracts, who knows? But I think the key here is that less people. I don't think they hire as many people. That was my first thought. Then I hear about the tape library being sold. And like my pal Jeff Hawkins said on Twitter, you don't do a fire sale if the company's supposed to come back. You don't do an everything must go sale for your boutique if you're planning on staying open for the next year. That doesn't work like that. So that's actually alarming. It should be an indication that whatever Sinclair decides to do in regards to Ring of Honor or the wrestling product that they're going to create, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a departure. It's going to be something else. It might not even be called Ring of Honor. And they're hinting at the fact that they are going to pivot, that they're going to rethink of something. That they're going to think of something else, another approach. I personally don't think that, okay, well, here. One, of course, the discourse is ridiculous, right? In some squares of, the wrestling community, where the usual people, I'm not going to even say, not even the usual people, are out there saying AEW killed Ring of Honor, right? That's the thing. It's like Ring of Honor was done in by AEW, scooping up all the talent and so blah, blah, blah. And you're like, bro, Koff himself, Joe Koff, first and foremost, said in an interview that I read today that he had, here, let me pull up the quote here real quick. Yes, yeah, not quite prepared, apparently. The exact quote was that there was not the exact quote. I'm going to paraphrase here, but he says that he said in the interview that during 2018, he feels like they may have operated a little too cautiously with Ring of Honor, because he feels that led them to missing a big opportunity in 2018 that led to the foundation of All Elite Wrestling. What do you think that big opportunity was, right? What do you think that big opportunity was? Not not sharing the company with the Bucks and Kenny, maybe not creating some EVPs there to sort of bolster AEW and make it into something big. Yeah, especially after the rampaging success that All In was. How does that even make... Yeah, you're damn right you operated too cautiously, because then what did the boys do? Cody, the Bucks, Omega, were like, all right, we're going to take our money elsewhere. We're going to find someone who's going to fund this. Because they had the proof of concept. Because let's not forget, this is the wild thing, is that All In was produced in association with Ring of Honor, who helped them out with production. And the ring, if I'm not mistaken, was a Ring of Honor ring. Like, it wasn't just, Cody, Kenny, and the Bucks stringing things together. They got the expertise from their partner, their home promotion in North America. They got them to finance the show, help them out. Like, the proof of concept was there. So probably Koff was sitting around kicking himself. So if anything, it's not a question of AEW having killed Ring of Honor, which is preposterous. It's Ring of Honor set in motion its own demise at that point. And here's something else that you can consider. You know who I feel was in competition with Ring of Honor for years? A little promotion called World Wrestling Entertainment via a show called NXT, when they decided to start poaching Ring of Honor talent. Kevin Steen, El Generico, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. They saw what was going on in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor was the indie super show. Well, what did Triple H want to create? He wanted to have his own indie super show and undermine Ring of Honor's capacity to truly become a number 2 promotion in North America. We're talking straight with each other, folks, right? At this point, I think it all makes sense. And for the thing, for the assessment that AEW was scooping up all the talent so that Ring of Honor wasn't able to sign anyone, maybe to an extent, but it's not as if the independent circuit is completely devoid of interesting prospects, of amazing talent out there, because you had enough between Ring of Honor, NWA, MLW to all keep all this shit alive, and even GCW in the meantime. It's a preposterous assessment to be sitting here and trying to debunk people saying that it's AEW's fault. It's not. Ring of Honor has been under pressure since the mid-2010s to try and come up with a viable alternative with talent that they could pay and hang on to. And then they have the golden goose in their hand. They have the all-in thing. They literally had in the palm of their hand All Elite Wrestling. Now, this will probably turn in, and I think we were talking about that in the Discord, it'll probably turn into one of the greatest what-ifs in the history of wrestling. What if Joe Koff had removed his fingers from his nose and realized the opportunity that he had with All In, with the Bullet Club guys, and said, nah, I'm going to take a chance on this? Would Ring of Honor have been the All Elite Wrestling today? Look, educated guess, probably not, because that Jacksonville Jaguars money is what is contributing to the production and the high level of production and high risk, high level moves that AEW is capable of doing. All right, that's super important. So I'm not sure it'd be that much of a done deal. Now, why was I talking about AEW and all of that? Okay, yeah. So, the talent, even though some people will assess that AEW was scooping up all the talent, and I'm not disagreeing that that had probably hurt them. You know, they picked up Daniel Garcia and they picked up Lee Moriarty. And so I'm not saying that that didn't hurt. But I think in this situation here, I think Ring of Honor takes a step back, or Sinclair, whatever you're going to call them moving forward at this point. They're going to take a step back and they're going to look at the landscape. We have to change the way we do business. We have to change how we're going to do things moving forward here. And my completely uneducated guess, like if I were to, with the information that I know, the bits and bobs that have been collected on the internet from, the Fightfuls and the Observers and so on and so forth, and the PW Insiders, I think that Ring of Honor becomes a GCW style top level indie. I think that there was maybe a time Sinclair wanted Ring of Honor to be this legitimate number 2 to WWE. I think that's what they wanted. Could they have done it is a whole other situation, but I think that's what they wanted. And then they're turning around and they're looking at friggin' Game Changer Wrestling. It's going around the country more and more, that is selling out shows, selling merch like crazy, creating this rabid fan base that sells out the shows, developing territories for themselves, right? In Jersey and in LA, like specific Game Changer territories to feed the main the main promotion. And they don't have people on huge contracts. They probably have a couple. I'd say Nick Gage is probably an easy guess, but other than that, everyone wrestles everywhere. Effie does all sorts of promotions. Cardona does all sorts of promotions. Alley Catch. The faces that you usually associate with Game Changer Wrestling, they're all over the place, and then they bring in people from all over the place as well to create this buzz. If I'm Ring of Honor, or Sinclair, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at this model. I'm like, why are we spending X million dollars a year annually on salaries to hang on to these people, to hang on to wrestlers, contractually, when you've got these guys here who barely have anyone signed to their name, if any. I can't speak on it. And they're tearing the place up, and they're the talk of the town. GCW puts on shows that garner more buzz than the venerable Ring of Honor. I'm thinking maybe this is where we're going to. And I saw people saying, they're probably setting up for a sale, Warren. Sell what? The minute you dump your contracts, the minute you dump your talent contracts, what are you selling? A ring? A ring bell? Some belts? Some tarp? Some turnbuckle pads that you're going to have to rebrand anyways because they have the Ring of Honor logo on them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're all, if you sell off if your company no longer has talent, then you're just selling stuff. And this stuff, there's nothing proprietary, there's nothing unique. It's not as if you're buying a piece of software and you're buying the source code to this this amazing piece of software that you'd have to spend decades reverse engineering to try to copy what they're doing. It's not the same thing. So there's no sale. They're not setting themselves up for a sale. And even if they're like, well, we're going to sell the tapes, you can sell the tapes without getting rid of the talent. I'm fully expecting at this point, from what we know, of course, fully expecting Ring of Honor to come back as something else. Might not even be called Ring of Honor. I think we might just try something different. Because Ring of Honor has very deep, very rich legacy. Like I've talked about in the past on this podcast in regards to Ring of Honor. There's a very fair chance if you're watching wrestling today, there is a very fair chance that one of your favorite top wrestlers in the business wrestled in Ring of Honor. There's if not your favorite, a wrestler you really like. At the very least, a top guy somewhere has been a Ring of Honor stalwart. And it's a shame if it goes away like on a bit of a whimper like this. It's a shame. And you know what? It's not AEW that did it in. It's not the lack of talent that did it in. It's COVID that did it in. It's Ring of Honor sitting around saying we're going to try to do the best thing possible while other companies are dumping their talent. We're going to try and hang on to ours because they're important. And it put them in a very problematic situation because they didn't come back fast enough doing shows in front of live crowds, in front of audiences to try and make some gate money. And it just caught up to them. Ring of Honor might end up being, and we'll see, we'll give it a few months, we'll see what happens in April 2022, but Ring of Honor might end up being the true to form first big casualty of COVID-19 for the wrestling business. We'll see what happens. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. I appreciate it. He says, remember the Elite wanted dual Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling contracts. I mean, if they wanted New Japan World, I think that was easy to negotiate. I don't think, can you imagine? It's like, you're sitting with Joe Koff and he's like, Kenny, look, Ring of Honor contract, sure, but we can't include a subscription to New Japan World. I'm just sorry. We just can't do it. We just can't do it. And Kenny's like, fuck you, Joe Koff. Yeah, was that ever really confirmed? I had heard, like, I really think at the point, I think the Ring of Honor New Japan contracts might have been a story, Because if we're listening to what Joe Koff is telling us today, he's sort of veering a little bit from that and saying, look, I had a big opportunity in 2018 and I dropped the ball. Maybe that big opportunity was the Elite saying, we'll stay to work for you, Joe, if we can work New Japan as well. Because let's not forget, because here's another prevailing story. This is one of the things that I never really, that always kept me from going full in on the rumor, the report that the Elite left Ring of Honor because they couldn't get the dual contracts. Let's not forget that Kenny Omega and the Bucks, they all left New Japan under somewhat questionable circumstances. Not sure their departure was all that great, because there was some bad blood then. There was some bad blood. So why would they ask for New Japan and Ring of Honor dual contracts if they're already leaving New Japan? And they're like, no, listen, this is not working. I don't know. There's a bigger picture to this story here that I don't think we're seeing. But hey, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. And Tim Traver left us a super chat as well. Thank you very much, Tim. Says, Warren, my buddy, happy Thursday night to you. My week is better now. Appreciate it, man. Happy Thursday to you too. Good. I'm glad your week is going a little better right now. So Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff this week caused some controversy. And then as those words pour out of my mouth, I look over at my calendar here and I'm like, did I just time warp to 1997? As I said, Eric Bischoff created some controversy this week. Because Could you imagine being in 1997 and having the streaming technology and everything that we have access to create media like we do? That would have been wild, man. Anyway, Eric Bischoff, he hits the internet like last week, and he's like, I got some big truths to drop on Tony Khan. Remember I mentioned this on the podcast last week, and I was sort of slapping my knees already, slapping my thighs. Like, what is this? What is he talking about? And then he starts saying, I got some big truths. I got some big truths to drop on Tony Khan. The truth is going to hurt. I'm like, what? And I hope you guys remember what I said. If you were listening, of course. I can't fault you if you weren't listening. And there, and there's no final exam here. So if you weren't listening, I can't check. But he said there was like some big truth to drop on TK on his podcast this week, 83 Weeks, of which I am an avid listener to. I really like 83 Weeks. I really like I really like Eric Bischoff's retelling of the era of the 90s when he was in charge of WCW, and his retelling and his recounting, which sometimes you're like, yeah, it's a little fishy. Sting didn't have a 10, for instance. Real ones will know. So I'm sort of giddy, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's bring it on, boys. Let's Conrad, Eric, pop this podcast in for me. So I'm listening to it on Monday, or was it Monday? Okay, it came out on Monday, but I think it doesn't matter when I was listening to it, because I'm getting on to a thing where I'm about to explain to you my entire schedule that I had Monday and Tuesday to tell you when I listened to 83 Weeks, when ultimately it doesn't matter to the point of this little news bit. But early this week, I listened to 83 Weeks, and I'm excited. I'm like, what kind of dirt does he have on Tony Khan that he's going to drop? Did he find some of Tony Khan's old message board posts? From the Observer Messenger board posts, or maybe Tony Khan was hanging out in a Prodigy chat with Bob Ryder at some point, and he said something salacious to old Bob. No, nothing like that. It wasn't anything like that, actually. He starts to say, he starts talking. Do you want to know what it was? I don't know if you guys listened to it, but it turns out that Eric Bischoff's big truth that he had to drop on Tony Khan was ratings discourse. He says Tony Khan is wrong to suggest, and I'm going to quote here, to suggest that, as he's been going on for quite some time, that based on a percentage of a demo to a show that's on a completely different night against completely different competition, that somehow that correlates to AEW being more popular or a better product. He says, I have an issue with that. He has an issue with a wrestling promoter doing wrestling promoter things. As if Eric Bischoff has never done that in his life. So he's sitting there and essentially saying, the problem with TK is that he's manipulating, and that's the word he used so that he could get the headlines. He's manipulating data to make it seem like they're in a competition when they're not. Now, I can appreciate Eric Bischoff's argument here, where he says, essentially, whoever you're competing against on a Monday night is not the same that on a Wednesday night. And I can agree to that to an extent. Because if you are a comedy airing on a cable network across the United States, let's say, a sitcom. Do they still have sitcoms? I don't know. I'm waiting for the Cowboy Bebop live action thing to start. So I don't pay attention to media outside of pro wrestling and Cowboy Bebop these days. let's say you have a sitcom on a cable show and it's airing on a Tuesday night, and your other sitcom, and there's another sitcom that's airing on a Friday night. Of course, the ratings aren't going to be the same. It's not but are you competing with them? Yes, you are. It's not head-to-head competition, but you're still competing for that same mind share, that level of interest. If anything, you want to drain people from that one night to come and watch you on the other night. Like, I get what Bischoff means, but he himself, in his good intentions here, is a little askew. And look, it's ratings discourse. You guys know how much I like sitting around talking ratings. Y'all know how if you hang around, Twitter and the internet community of professional wrestling fans, you know how completely civil and level-headed ratings discourse is. People debate very, very calmly, level-headed, with logic. Yeah, right? So, of course, I hate ratings discourse, in case you're new here. I don't care to talk about it, because I think, first of all, it's better off to leave it to the experts. And when I'm talking experts, I'm talking Brandon Thurston over at WrestleNomics. I was going to say Thugonomics. Shout out to the thug, Brandon Thugston. Follow Brandon Thurston on Twitter or WrestleNomics. Those are Brandon's the only analysis you should be listening to, quite frankly. He's been doing this for years, so he knows what he's talking about. Anyone else is either reading off what Brandon's coming up with, or they're wrong. So I'm disappointed listening to Eric Bischoff, because then I'm like, so it's ratings discourse. This sucks. This is bad. But no, he continues. He continues to say, and he keeps talking. He says, this is the thing that got me, because he was listening to an interview that Tony Khan, he was listening to it live, and he said that he hadn't listened to it previously, right? This to get his spontaneous impressions. I'm like, fuck off, Eric. We know you listened to it before. What do you think? You can only work the mark so far before they start before they start understanding the grift here, Eric. So they're listening to Tony Khan giving an interview. I think it was on Busted Open, and Tony Khan says this, and this is the thing that got Eric Bischoff. He says, or he tweets out, look, fuck, it doesn't matter, but TK is quoted as saying, if Ted Turner from WCW right back in the day, if Ted Turner knew 1% about what I know, about what I do, about professional wrestling, WCW would still be in business. And this is what Eric Bischoff got heated at. This is what grinded his gears. This is what he went off on. He took, or as he said, took umbrage to. And he started questioning, well, what does Tony Khan know about Ted Turner? How does he know what Ted Turner knew about wrestling or not? If he blah, blah, blah. And if I were to call Ted Turner's son, and I were to ask him, that'd be ridiculous, and this is what got Eric Bischoff heated. TK taking a shot at Ted Turner, who isn't even remotely involved with wrestling anymore, doing this thing. Tony Khan doing the wrestling promoter shit, doing the act, calling people out, saying I'm better than the guys back then. This is what got Eric Bischoff. And then it became weird, because then it turned into Eric Bischoff defending Ted Turner in 2021 on a podcast. And I was like, what? Did I just fall into some kind of weird well of mixed up timelines? Why would Eric Bischoff get mad at that at this stage? Because then Eric starts going, well, if he had read Guy Evans' book, which he should pick up a copy and read, he'd know about it all. And I'm like, what is going on? There was nothing Nothing that Bischoff brought up in this 45-minute tirade, not just the Ted Turner thing, but with the ratings, everything that I was like, where's this big truth bomb? So even I listened to the very end, which I always do. I listened to the very end, going like, well, maybe he's got like, he wants to do a big, main event surprise here. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve and he's going to pull it out at the end. But no. Eventually, stop talking about ratings. Stop talking about stop sticking up for Ted Turner, becoming some kind of surrogate for Ted Turner. It's so weird. Why would Eric Bischoff be out there sticking up for Ted Turner when Tony Khan is doing the most wrestling promoter thing? It's wild to me. So there was nothing. Ultimately, there was nothing that Eric Bischoff had up his sleeve. I was like, this is going to be the end of Tony Khan. He was painting it out to be this huge news. It was just opinion. And look, this is the brilliant part though. This is the thing where Eric Bischoff, he's playing 4D chess here. But he's like, well, I'm going to call TK out. I'm going to do this. I got a truth bomb. Eric Bischoff sitting in his bedroom saying, hey, you know what? All this ratings talk that Tony Khan is doing, I can use this to attract attention to my podcast, and God bless him for it. And not only that, look, it made the news. It made headlines. I'm even talking about it tonight on a segment. God bless you, Eric Bischoff. Controversy creates cash. You're goddamn right. You're still doing it 20 some years later, 30 some years later. You're still at the top of it. God bless you. You done good. I know he'll never listen to this, but yeah, sometimes I like to think that I can talk so candidly to Eric Bischoff. You done good, kid. Want to go fight Vince now? Want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Yeah. Hello, darling. Shout out to Kristen again, who did some fantastic work, as I said at the start of the show. Fantastic work for the Bell to Bells Women's 150 celebration this weekend. Now she's catching up with the rest of her busy life, and God bless you too. And God bless everyone who leaves a like on this video. Or a review if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, all that stuff. What should we talk about next? No, I did not challenge Eric Bischoff to a shoot fight. No. Is it time to talk about Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch? Is this where we're at? Is this where we're at in the show? No, please don't tell Eric Bischoff I'm challenging him to a shoot fight, because it's a lie. I'm not. I never did. So yeah, so is this the part of the show where we do it, where we talk about Charlotte and Becky? Are y'all ready for this? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, unless you're living under a cave. You know what? No, that's very disrespectful on my part. Because I shouldn't assume that everyone who is listening to the MrWarrenHayes show is privy to all the quality discussions that happen out on Twitter and in the wrestling. Yes, I did sing to you, darling. I shouldn't assume that everyone is aware, right? So I should not sit here and be like, hey, you've been living under a rock if you haven't heard that Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair don't get along anymore, right? Because maybe you don't know this. Maybe I'm like your sole source of analysis in the world of wrestling, and to you I say, on one hand, God bless you, thank you very much. And on the other hand, it's like, please reach out a little more. Keep me in your rotation, but listen to other people for the love of God. Okay. Last Friday Night Smackdown, right? The number one show from the World Wrestling Entertainment Company, airing on Fox. They start talking about it during the day. They start putting this out on their social media. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are going to trade titles, right? Because Charlotte Flair, the Raw Women's Champion, has been drafted to SmackDown, and she still owns the title, holds the Raw title. And Becky Lynch, the SmackDown Women's title, was drafted to Raw, and she still has the SmackDown title. So they were like, well, we'll just get into the ring and we'll swap them, like the New Day did with the Street Profits at the last draw, which, by the way, draft, which, by the way, sucked. So somehow they thought, hey, we'll do it this year and it'll be better. But, oh my God, what is the opposite of something, hoping something is better? Because it is entirely not that happened. So the basic premise, and this was the main event segment. They didn't even finish with the match. They finished, they set up, you got Bruce Pritchard preparing the run sheet, and he's going, we're going to end it. Sometimes Bruce sounds like Vince. Okay, this is not on me. And Bruce is like, we're gonna finish the show with the title switch. We're gonna have Becky and Charlotte in the ring, and they're gonna switch titles. I'll be great shit, pal. That's Bruce. Bruce doing his Vince impersonation as he's doing the run sheet. So, at the very foundations of this milestone evening in professional wrestling in 2021, at the very basis of it, they thought that a title switch, just handing the other person the title, being booked into the main event segment, was a good idea. Okay? So already we're about to strike out here. We've swung twice. We're two strikes. Look at me with my baseball analogies. So everyone knew it was bad. It was going to be bad. During the championship exchange segment, okay, there was a moment where Charlotte Flair was to hand her belt to Becky Lynch, right? But instead pulled it away and threw the belt on the mat. Now, I understand that there is contention here as to whether Charlotte did it on purpose or if it slipped out of her hands. But the point here, the important nugget of information here is that Charlotte did not give Becky the belt, okay? Regardless of whether you think it was purposeful or whether it was an act of God, the belt did not end up in Becky Lynch's hand, all right? At that point, Sonya Deville demanded, required, insisted that Charlotte Flair retrieve the belt and hand it to Becky. So Charlotte, reached down, picked it up, and gave the title to Becky. And then Becky sort of threw her title at Charlotte. She threw and that was apparently not part of the plan either. So all this shit happens, and we're looking at this bullshit, because SmackDown, might I remind you, SmackDown is the most miserable watch in pro wrestling today. All right, it really is. It is the most miserable watch on TV as far as pro wrestling goes. So we're all looking at this bullshit unfold before our eyes. And then Twitter starts lighting up. As I'm sitting down to watch Bobby Fish versus Bryan Danielson on Rampage, right? That was the match, right? I think so. as I'm settling in to watch that, Twitter starts going aflame. Because apparently whatever happened in the ring was a shoot. It wasn't supposed to go down that way. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. We hear suddenly from backstage, some backstage notes, reports saying that Charlotte had voiced some concerns about the exchange and she didn't want to look weak, right? So that's why she didn't want to she was already against the idea, so that's why she didn't want to give Becky the title. She was against the whole title exchange to begin with. We heard that she was going around campaigning for Bianca to have win the title on Monday, right? So that you don't have to do this weak ass shit like exchanging titles. So we hear all about that, and apparently the whole thing was made, and then we start hearing more stuff. That the whole thing was made to make Becky look bad, right? And then we hear that there's this backstage argument after the segment took place at Gorilla Position. But the argument took place at Gorilla Position, right? After Becky and Charlotte get into a thing backstage, we're told Flair was asked to leave the venue to avoid any further issues. Oh, and then during the weekend, we get more details on the Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair confrontation. That apparently she was escorted by WWE officials. And then we get more precisions on these details. No. She was escorted by security. Then, over the course of the weekend, new reports emerge that we learn of the original plan, right? Where Becky was supposed to grab Charlotte's belt and do the Becky Two Belts thing and then throw her title at Charlotte, right? Because new details, right? Then we learn more new details that Charlotte disrespected Vincent Kennedy McMahon and didn't go talk to him at Gorilla, right? That she just walked away, and then more details emerge that Becky Lynch is being lauded as a hero by the locker room. She's considered a hero for doing what she did. We don't know who's saying that. We don't know. No one came out to say Becky Lynch is a hero for what she did. No one. We don't know but apparently new details emerge that tell us that Becky Lynch is this hero. And now Charlotte Flair, she's difficult to work with. This is things that we're starting to learn, that apparently she has no friends. She's been isolating in the locker room area, right? All these details dripping across from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, right into Monday. All these things popping up. Here's the deal. I'm not going to sit here and try to analyze what's going on. I'm not going to break this down and say, this person's right, this person's wrong. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because I would like you guys, gals, non-binary pals, everyone who's listening right now, I want you to think about what happened here. Because regardless of what you feel about Charlotte Flair, and I know Charlotte is an easy target, no one, or at least she is highly disliked by the community at large, right? The fans, they don't like her for a bunch of reasons. I want you to think about the fact that from Friday night onward for easily 3 days, we were drip-fed information. A day after day, there was a little something new happening to bury Charlotte a little more. Funny how we didn't hear about anything positive that Charlotte, outside of the fact that she was campaigning for the title switch to not happen, which was information that was leaked on Friday, but then everything after that was just like, Charlotte sucks. Charlotte's terrible. Charlotte doesn't work well with others. Charlotte doesn't have any friends. Charlotte hates Becky. Becky's a hero. No one can stand Charlotte. Someone had to stand up to Charlotte, and this is what it was. Why do you think, and I'm asking you good viewers here, like Diego Rafael Solis Rivera, good to see you. I'm asking him and everyone else, why do you think this information was delivered unto our favorite wrestling news sites? Why do you think that? It's not a coincidence. It's not some, and I know I've said this before to you all, and I'm going to say it again here. There is nothing that gets leaked in wrestling media. Nothing that gets leaked unless someone leaks it, and most of the time there is an agenda behind it. Sometimes the agenda is noble. Sometimes it might be just an opportunity to get back at someone, or to discredit someone, or to perform character assassination on that person. Because it's one thing to dislike Charlotte because of her booking, because of how she's presented, because of how she conducts herself in the ring, because of what level of what her skill level is to you. Those are all very subjective things, right? It's all attached to the art, and in a lot of situations, it's not all up to her. If you don't like how she's booked, well, there's a fair chance that it's not her fault because there's someone else calling the shots on that. But when it comes to wrestlers being assholes, legit assholes to other wrestlers in the locker room, that's where a lot of fans draw the line, and it is hard to be subjective there. Then it's like, well, this person is not a good person. See, I knew it because I knew she was a bad person because she can't land a moonsault. That kind of stuff. I know she was the golden goose of WWE's women's division because she picked a fight with Becky. I knew it. This, to me, as I was looking at this unfold, regardless of what I feel about Becky Lynch and Charlotte, who, by the way, I like both women. I think they're at the top of their game, and they wouldn't be at the top of their game if they didn't have what was required, what was needed to be up top there. Okay? I'm just going to clear that up. There is, looking at everything that was happening over the past few days, to me, it really came across as character assassination, as someone finally getting an opening to go after Charlotte and discredit her and brand her with one of the absolute worst stamps that a wrestler can get in the eyes of smart fans. And that is to be hard to work with. It is one of the worst in regards to public perception. This is someone or some people who really saw an opportunity to tear her down. Because otherwise, we would not have been getting further reports, more details, new reports, new information regarding. We wouldn't have got none of that without a concerted effort to make Charlotte look bad. Now, I am not questioning the capacity, the talent, the rigor of, of wrestling media members and journalists who were reporting this. I can only assume that all proper due diligence was done here. because I am in good faith. But nonetheless, the fact that new stuff was being drip fed every day got us to the point where Charlotte Flair is essentially comes across as being persona non grata, doesn't play well with others, is hated backstage. This feeds in to someone's narrative. This is someone who was ready to take Charlotte down, was just looking for an opportunity to do it and make her look bad in the eyes of wrestling fans. No, I do not think that this is Charlotte Flair trying really, really hard to get fired so she could go work AEW with her boyfriend. I think that's too short-sighted. I think you're too much in a bubble. I think there's a larger thing at work here. There's a little tin foil here under my cap. Not gonna lie, thinking about all of this. There's something else. Because don't forget, nothing in wrestling gets leaked without an agenda. Why do you think that we don't hear about people being disgruntled in AEW, right? Probably because we're not. What is the shit that gets leaked from AEW? The locker room is happy and everyone is content with what they're doing. Why? Well, that's probably the truth. But the minute that people start getting pissed off, the minute that people start getting cranky, there will be shit that will be leaked. You can count on it. AEW is not going to be any different than any promotion that has been around since the 80s. It's going to happen inevitably. And everything that is going to be leaked will be leaked for a reason. Look, I'm going to point back. And I think my most recent example is when Sammy Guevara went to Impact Wrestling. Do you remember this? When Sammy went to Impact, it was suddenly leaked that Sammy didn't want to do the job, right? He didn't want Ace Austin. He didn't want to lose to Ace Austin, something like that. He had come in to do some tapings, and he was told, no, he doesn't want to lose. So he threw a fit and went home. You remember that, right? Why would that leak? If not by someone likely in Impact who wanted to screw around with Sammy's persona, public image, a well-liked wrestler among the fans. Or we can go back and think about, here's another very good one. Sasha and Bayley on the floor crying after losing their tag titles. Remember that one? The perpetrators will remain anonymous here, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Same bullshit. Why does this stuff get leaked? It gets leaked for a reason. And I am not trying to say that wrestling journalists are complicit in this. All the opposite. I believe in good faith because I have spoken to many journalists. Hell, I've worked for some. And I understand a lot of their work ethic. I believe in their good faith. I believe they are good faith operators, and whatever due diligence had to be made was done, that they're not just, a mouthpiece. That's not what I want to get across here. But what I want you as an audience to question yourselves. Why was this information leaked? Why did we get so much supplemental information that just kept on piling on top of Charlotte, piling on top of her? To the degree where that we hear preposterous sweeping statements like, everyone in the locker room says Becky Lynch is a hero, where I'm like, what the fuck is this? That is the absolute top thing that cannot be substantiated unless you get people actually coming out and saying, yeah, yes. And you do get the majority. It's an unsubstantiated claim. But why do we keep getting these day after day for 3 to 4 days straight on Charlotte? We may never know what the reason was. And you know what? We'll probably only know exactly what happened in a few years from now when Becky and Charlotte start doing shoot interviews. Maybe we'll end up knowing what the story is. But at this point, don't ask yourselves, was this good? Was this bad? The segment sucked. The segment was destined to suck. The levels of suck that it attained, though, that was spectacular. But don't ask yourselves whether Becky is right or Charlotte is wrong or vice versa. Ask yourselves, why is this information being leaked? That is a much more interesting question. That is a much, much more interesting question. Since we're on the topic of WWE, Halloween Havoc 2021 happened. And it was not as good as last year's. It really wasn't. I didn't think it was a good show. Don't think it was a bad show, but I don't think it was good. I think it is. It's kind of like the curse of NXT these days, where it's like NXT 2.0, things happen. That's how I feel. I'm going to run down the results really, really fast here. The Toxic Attraction ladies, Priscilla Kelly, a.k.a. Gigi Dolan, and JC Jane, defeated champions Io Shirai and Zoe Stark and Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta in a triple threat Scareway to Hell ladder match to become the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. This was a mess. It was a mess. God bless Io Shirai for just being completely insane per usual and taking the most ridiculous bump off the lateral ladder. That was just insane. Zoe Stark was having an off night, and I like Zoe Stark a lot, but she really was having an off night. Her kicks weren't landing. Look, nothing was working for her. I'm honestly, the silver lining here is having Priscilla Kelly, who is someone that I really, really like. Thrilled to see her get some championship gold in WWE. Good for her. And frankly, you know, there was a lot of, I felt like a lot of this match was to make Persia Pirotta, and I don't see what they see in her. I just don't. Joe Gacy defeated Malik Blade in a semi-squash match. There's this thing with, you know, Parker Boudreaux, whatever his name is now, Harlow, I don't remember. You know, it's been a couple of weeks that I've been like, I have to talk about the Joe Gacy things, and it's kind of become a meme in the Discord. But so I'm going to talk about Joe Gacy real quick and the gimmick that he's doing. I'm not offended by the gimmick. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It doesn't matter, even though like everything that he's bringing forward about, you know, safe spaces, you know, and everyone being respectful and stuff are values that I hold and I think that are important, you know, and, you know, maybe the semi-mockery, you know, it's clearly a mockery of, you know, as they like, you know, as people who are on the opposite side of the fence like to say, you know, this is, you know, it's the cancel culture crowd, right? And he's coming after them. Every time WWE or even WCW, you know, got challenged by special interest groups or morality thinkers that sort of came to sort of ruffle their trees a little bit and say, hey, you know what, the programming you're putting out right here is kind of offensive to some people. Whenever they'd get attacked by people like that, they'd counteract with a gimmick on television that would make fun of the people that would make fun of the people who are coming after WWE. Right to Censor, for instance, which was a direct attack to the Parent Teachers Commission Coalition, whatever they were, the PTC. I mean, the PTC, they were terrible and terrible people, but still, that was that. Yeah, it's Standards and Practices in WCW. It's the same thing. It's just a contemporary version, and instead of it being a television like a a member of the media or a member of the media or, you know, someone within a network's organization or an organization, period, right? You end up with Joe Gacy, who is, you know, people on the internet complaining that that women are disrespected and that everyone should be happy and so on and so on. The thing here, that Joe Gacy I think he's a pretty good wrestler. I think he's talented, but he has a gimmick that will never get over. He won't get over with this. It's not going to work. I don't know why they're doing it. It didn't get right to censor over, like Stevie Richards didn't get a lifelong WWE career thanks to it. No, it was a circumstantial thing that was bound to be tossed to the wayside. No one got over with those half-ass gimmicks, and Joe Gacy's not going to get over with it either. It's not even worth getting offended by the gimmick and saying this is terrible, the WWE's making fun. It's just so stupid. And you know, it is old white men writing these promos because of the language that's being used, Twitter language, snowflakes and bullshit like that they don't understand what it means, and that right now are not even trigger words anymore. It's already passe, but that's WWE, right? They'll always be 2 or 3 years behind the trend, except for the fact that recently they've been talking about, you know, Squid Game, excuse me, on television. Very good show, Squid Game, by the way, if you're looking to watch something while waiting for the live action Cowboy Bebop show. Excellent stuff. I had Roderick Strong defeating Odyssey Jones in the... Okay, whatever. Mandy Rose defeated Raquel Gonzalez to become the new WWE NXT Women's Champion due to interference by Dakota Kai, who is back. Apparently, she went up, had her dark matches, and Vince is like, nope, all right, we can send her back. I don't like her. And this is ridiculous. Dakota Kai is one of the most talented women that they have on that roster and who is also very well liked and who has a fan base and who people are ready to get behind, and they don't know what to do with her. And it's the most WWE thing, isn't it? It is the absolute most WWE thing to have such a surefire prospect of a talent like Dakota Kai, and they're like, creative's got nothing for you, pal. We're sending you back to NXT. Imperium defeated MSK to become the NXT Tag Team Champions in a Lumberjack-o-lantern match. They did this a lumberjack. Look, lumberjack matches suck. They're terrible. I ask this every time. Tell me, I want you to spontaneously, without popping up onto the internet, tell me what is the greatest lumberjack match that you have ever seen. It'll be like, ugh. There is no such thing as a good lumberjack match, and it's always the same bullshit. And not only do they do the lumberjack match here, but at some point during the match, the lumberjacks leave. Like, what is the point of doing this in the first place? Why even do the stip if the stip's not going to stay to the very end? Who's keeping an eye on the stips? Who's enforcing the stipulations here? The lumberjacks just fucked off. Anyway, all I can say here to MSK is don't piss off Izzy's parents. And in the main event, Tommaso Ciampa successfully defended the NXT title against Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, who had a moment with Chucky. Look, and here's the other. It was supposed to be LA Knight, who was supposed to be the host, but then I don't even know what his name is. What's the guy's name? Graham Williams. What is the guy's name? It doesn't even matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. But the other guy who lost the match to LA Knight last week, that made LA Knight the host of Halloween Havoc, he comes out and he has the floor, and I'm like, what is going on? LA Knight comes in at the end, and they do what? There's a schmoz. They fight each other. It's so stupid. But then on top of that host, you have another host, which is Chucky the Doll. Chucky from the Child's Play series of movies and brand new television show on the USA Network. I don't know if you've heard, but there's some great synergy going on there. And Chucky's doing and Chucky shows up in Braun Breaker's locker room, and Braun Breaker goes, and he does a quip like, we've got unfinished business or whatever, some shit. I don't know, but it's a nod to Rick Steiner back in WCW when he was standing in the ring and Chucky appeared on his screen and cut a promo on Rick Steiner. And Rick Steiner's son, Braun Breaker, is there, and Chucky's there, and everyone's going, oh, long-term storytelling. I enjoyed the nod, but at this point, how can they not let Braun Breaker use the Steiner name? They're going to let Braun Breaker come out with the chainmail cowl before they call him Steiner. It's like, at this point, come on, guys. You're just taking the piss. You're just taking the piss at this point. Anyway, they had a fine match. Wasn't anything amazing. Wasn't anything great, but I liked it. A lot of people got pissed off. In that Ciampa defeated the young upstart. I don't mind. And maybe it is my own, booking sensibilities and, that don't necessarily always apply to WWE. But I'm like, look, Braun Breaker loses against the vet. Why would the new up-and-comer who debuted about 2 months ago on TV, why would this guy beat Tommaso Ciampa? Let him come in. And Ciampa had to murder him with a series of knee strikes and then hit a second fairy tale ending to win. So I'm like, Braun Breaker's fine. Let him go off, lick his wounds, come back stronger. That's it. That's all they have to do. Make the win mean something down the road. If you had won last night, it would have been completely garbage, and everyone would be like, oh, well, there you go, Ciampa's done. It makes sense that the new guy loses to one of the pillars of the modern NXT, Tommaso Ciampa, a guy who just came out of a tag team with Timothy Thatcher, where their whole thing was, we want to break people in half. And Ciampa has always been a vicious son of a bitch. That's always been his character. That's always been his thing. Well, at least since his heel turn, right? Post DIY. If we want to be nitpicky here. That's all right. There was nothing spectacular on the show, and it was actually weighed down by a lot of nonsense. And the haunted house stuff, that was just awful. I was just awful. I didn't like. I thought it was dumb. The Loomis. Dexter Loomis, Cameron Grimes haunted house thing from last year was umpteen times more entertaining than what we got here because we had Cameron Grimes to carry us through it. Here, it's like they called out, they rented out the least expensive haunted house in Orlando and they literally just had the guys walk around and be like, oh, an actor in spooky getup. Oh, another actor in spooky getup. Boring as shit is what it was. Wasn't great. I really didn't care for it. Impact Professional Wrestling also had a pay-per-view this weekend. Bound for Glory, one of the big ones for the company. Started off with the Impact Knockouts Tag Team title match, where the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay defeated Rosemary and Havoc, aka Decay. There's a lot of Jessie McKay defeat Decay, aka Rosemary and Havoc. Cassie and Jesse wrestled more in this one match than their entire run with the WWE Tag Team Women titles. I thought this was all right. I thought it was good, and I found that people were very, very hard on the former Iconics. I thought the Inspiration looked as good as they could here, and it's always the same thing. Just let them wrestle, put them on TV. That's how they'll continue improving and getting better. This was fine. I know a lot of people are perturbed by the fact, they just land in and they get the titles. Well, there were more reasons to be perturbed in this show. Impact X Division title tournament final three-way match for the vacant X Division title. And it's Trey Miguel who defeated El Fantasmo and Steve Maclin in a fun one. I enjoyed it, as most X Division titles go. Great performance by Steve Maclin. I love El Fantasmo. I also think that Trey Miguel is fantastic as well. Good showing by everyone here. Kudos all around. We got a tag team match. Heath and his surprise partner, which turned out to be Rhino, defeated Violent by Design's team of Diener and Joe Doring. Not much here. Then we got the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Moose defeated everyone to win the Call Your Shot title. Oh, don't even get me started. But here we'll get there. Impact doesn't do a great job with its battle royals. I think they're all over the place. They're scattered. They're not great. The Impact World Tag Team Title three-way match between the Good Brothers, Chris Bay and Hikuleo and Finn Juice came up with the Good Brothers retaining. It was all right. Again, like nothing to write home about. This was a pretty good match here. Impact Knockouts title match. Mickie James defeated champion Deonna Purrazzo to become the new Impact Knockouts champion. Congratulations to Mickie James. This, I think, was her 10th world title in her career. I want to say 4th time as Knockouts champ, I think. Solid match. I've got nothing to say outside of the fact that I'm kind of, every champion ends up losing the straps at some point. I like Deonna. I like how she wrestles. I like her in-ring character, and I love her style. There's not another woman in wrestling that wrestles quite like her. She's very unique. She's a great champ, is what I'm trying to say. It was fine. More than fine. It was good. I enjoyed it. And we got a great main event. Josh Alexander defeating Christian Cage to become the new Impact World Champion, only to get Moose do the thing and do his Call Your Shot thing immediately after the match and defeated Josh Alexander in 7 seconds with I don't know. It doesn't matter. Because Moose, I don't like Moose. I don't like him. I've got, he's problematic to me and to a lot of people. So, this is Impact being very, very Impact. Because I was looking at Josh Alexander, who is a phenomenal wrestler and can absolutely be, that guy to be at the forefront of your company, bringing it forward. Hey, this feels like a new era, new people, new faces. Josh Alexander, he rules. No, we go back to Moose. It's such good heat, pal. This is how we're going to get people invested in it. No. Moose has had tons of runs with the title. Why not just try the Josh Alexander experiment right here? No, they're clearly going to do a rematch and whatnot, but I'm done with Moose. I'm done with Moose being in these high-level positions. Don't want to get into that. But I do want to get into the fact that apparently, these are the reports that are circulating, that Impact's relationship with AEW is over. That it was, reports were coming out that apparently the relationship came to an end after Bound for Glory. And if so, I am very disappointed. And I think I'm left here scratching my head, wondering what did Impact do to better itself in this situation. First of all, no Forbidden Door stuff with no exchanges between AEW and Impact for the women. And Deanna was very vocal about this. They sent her to AAA, sure. She went to NWA, sure. But nothing for the women. There was no exchange. There was no Britt versus Deanna. There was no Layla Hirsch versus Layla Hirsch versus Chelsea Green. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff around. There was no Ty versus Mickie James. There could have been so many possibilities here. Plus, bringing in women to work the tag team champions would have also been a possibility there too. AEW provided they sent Red Velvet and Kylie King to NWA for the Empower tournament at Empower for the women's tag title tournament. Why not send them over and have them challenge Decay? Well, Decay. No, that's it. No, Decay would have been okay because I always think Crazy Steve's in the tag team, but no, could have Havoc, Jessica Havoc. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But I'm very disappointed that didn't happen. And I'm convinced that there are women within Impact who are very disappointed that nothing moved on that end. We got people coming in from New Japan. We got people coming in from people. When I say men coming in from New Japan, men coming in from AEW, but nothing for the women, and nothing for Deanna to sink her teeth into. That's disappointing. But honestly, this pay-per-view comes to an end. You have Christian Cage dropping the title to Josh Alexander. That should have been significant. That should have been significant enough for the company to be like, look, this is our guy who beat one of the AEW guys for our title, got it back, and this is the guy that we're going to run with. No, they have him job out. They have him lose instantly. No more heat for Josh Alexander. I don't understand it. And why did they not take... This is what I thought they were going to do when I was praising this idea of Kenny having multiple belts. You'll all remember I was saying that what the promotions have the opportunity to do here is to heat up a new guy who is going to take the belts off of Kenny, right? I was sort of miffed when they decided to go with Christian Cage. I was like, well, cool and all, and it does help AEW quite a bit, but I mean, we knew Christian Cage wasn't going to stay in Impact and be the guy moving forward. I'm like, what are they trying to do here? Why couldn't we have had Josh Alexander, versus Kenny Omega for the title and elevate a guy like that? Because Omega and Alexander would have had an awesome match. One where Jason Alexander would have been a made man. And a guy people I am convinced would tune in to watch wrestle more. Convinced. But no, Impact's got to be Impact. Have Josh Alexander defeat Christian Cage, who is a great worker, don't get me wrong, but not the superstar, not the box office that is Kenny Omega. And then not only that, have Josh Alexander just get all of his heat scrapped up by Moose Just like, and ending the pay-per-view on the most deflating way possible. And people going like, well, what's the point here? I don't see what the big gains Impact made here, because it feels like the big gains, which was to have some AEW talent show up, having Kenny Omega be the champion, and I think it was ultimately turned out to be spoiled. I don't think that the long-term ramifications of this association are valuable. I don't think there's anything really I don't think Impact really gleans, because the minute that they're done with their, allegedly, of course, immediately that they're done with their association with AEW, they go back to doing the most Impact things, the most TNA things ever. And I feel like we're back to square one. But it really, my main major qualm is that it's ending without anything really substantial for the women. Boys, girls, and everyone else, that stinks. It really does. Bound for Glory was a very, 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 very average show. Super average show. Good stuff, nothing great. I thought the dual main events were great. Were very good. But I think that if it had ended with Josh Alexander and the title, probably would get some goodwill there. But it's a terrible booking decision. It really is. To wrap this up, I'm going to gush for a second on Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida, their match that they had on Dynamite last night. Not much Dynamite talk tonight. I'll make it up to you next week. I loved this match so much. There was a lot to love on Dynamite last night. Look, I couldn't catch it live. Work was holding me back doing stuff. Not holding me back. It was scheduled. But look, I had real life work keeping me away from watching my wrestling. And I come back and I'm chatting with Kristen, and she says, "You missed a really good episode of Dynamite, Warren." I'm like, wow, if you come out here, because Kristen's a harsh critic of AEW, and if she's telling me that it was a very good episode, I'm like, oh boy, I'm in for a treat. And I was. Fantastic stuff. So many. Ethan Page, Sammy Guevara, fantastic work. The main event was just perfectly silly, wasn't it? I thought it was great. CM Punk, Bobby Fish, great stuff. And the main event, great stuff as well. But that women's match, I love how it felt personal. Like from the get-go, they just dove in. And that was because, you know why it felt personal? Because they had set this one up. They had done a nice, tidy little mid-card feud with two of their excellent women talent. They got us invested into a match just by, go figure, proper booking followed by some really good wrestling. And that's how you get people invested in wrestlers, whether they're women or men. And the more they do these types of angles with the women, the more that they set things up, little mid-card feuds that have passion, that have stakes, even if they're personal stakes. The more they keep doing that, the more people are going to get invested in the women's division, and AEW will have gold on their hands. They already do have gold. They just don't know how to use it properly. And when I see matches like Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida, like last night, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Sitting on their hands? They've got the proof positive right here. Let's go. Let's fucking go with this tournament. Let's keep pushing the women. Let's keep creating these little mid-card situations where there's bad blood, just like they do with all the guys across the entire division, right? Go, because this is the payoffs that we love. You've got Deeb in the ring working the left knee just like she did. There's story story continuity, there's sports-centric story continuity going on here. Shida fights back with some power moves. She does a stalling suplex. She hits a huge axe kick. And right on the back of Deeb's neck. Straight jacket German on top of that. Deeb, she goes back fighting the knee. She even knocks the fucking chair away. And I'm like, she's the smartest woman in the room. She sees Shida set up the chair. She knows what she's going to do. So what does Deeb do? She just fucking knocks the chair away. Because she's smart. That's what I want in my wrestlers. I want them to be smart. Not some stupid fucking dummies all the time. Figure 4 off the post, laying on the steps. What a fucking great visual. She blocks a knee strike and rolls into a half crab, she being Deeb. It's great stuff. She hits an inverted figure 4 on top of that. Just a fantastic match. Deeb goes after the knee again with the chairs. After the match, it continues. The feud is continuing. Deeb is the greatest heel that they have in the company. She's an actual heel. That's the problem that they have with Britt Baker. Britt Baker's a great heel, but everyone's cheering for her. And that's the problem that they have when it's time to start building baby faces up for her. But hey, you've got yourself here. You've got Serena Deeb, who is not only a fantastic heel, a true to form heel that no one wants to cheer for, but she is one of the best wrestlers out there. Male, female, it doesn't matter. Serena Deeb is one of the best in the game today. Great match. Absolutely great match. That was my highlight of AEW last night. I know a lot of people really I love the main event. I thought the main event was great. Anakin JMT left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says Warren, please give me props for calling Ghostbusters costumes on Dynamite, and he did on the Discord, which you should join. By the way, link is in the description. Anakin said that there'll probably be someone, a bunch of people doing Ghostbuster costumes, and look at that, the Elite show up in their costumes. Ghostbuster costumes. I love that. I love the setup. And again, a monster pop for Hangman Adam Page. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Despite the fact CM Punk, despite the fact Bryan Danielson, everyone thought that the audience would be out of pops. They love themselves some Adam Page. The more we're getting closer to Full Gear, the more I think they're actually going to do it. They're going to pull the trigger on it. They really do. It's the weekly wrestling inspection. I almost didn't ignite the right sequence here. Folks, we're going to wrap this up for this week. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting to get so animated for the Deeb Shida stuff, but goddamn, that was great stuff. You know what? Look, you know what else is great stuff? The post show. We're going to head on over to the post show in just a few minutes. I'm going to head on over there for members only. We're going to be talking about the Ring of Honor talents. I want to hear what you guys feel about what the Ring of Honor talent might be doing moving forward. Who are your favorites? Who would you see who would be a good fit where? Let's go talk about it tonight, immediately after we're done here. And by the way, it's for members. All you have to do is become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show YouTube channel, and you can come and jump in. I chat a lot with everyone in the chat. We take calls from the Discord. It is a good time. Patrick Mason, good to see you, friend. Yeah, you can restart this. There's lots of good stuff that we talk about on this show tonight. Lots of good people who showed up as well. Thank you all very much for joining me live. Thank you, even if you're not live. If you're listening right now on YouTube or on your favorite podcast application, I appreciate you. I really do. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, a great Thursday evening, a great weekend. I'll see you next time.